I have not have the luxury to watch him. I mean, the age, the gap.
What did you look at me for?
No, you're 50.
I'm not that old. 50. Why am I old? Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Yahoo Footballing Weekly with me, a slightly croaky Neil Humphreys.
Yes, every time he's back from England, it's always like...
Well, what can I do? Hey, I caught my flu here, okay?
So,
Don't blame the animals for my cold,
blame,
all right?
yeah.
I caught it here.
Okay. So anyway, Neil Humphreys here and me, Yahoo editor Chia Keong, and today we have a great guest here for us. First time on our show, Isa Halim, ex-Lions.
Thank you guys for having me.
Hey, don't sell him short. Come on. Malaysia Cup winner, Malaysia FA Cup winner, AFFF Championship winner. What else did we miss?
SEA Games.
SEA Games.
Bronze medalist.
medalist, yes.
And then S-League, Singapore Premier League.
Singapore Premier League. Singapore Cup.
Wow,
There you
winner
go.
all the way.
Legend.
That's right,
And
that's
which EPL team do you follow?
Not really. I just watch good football now.
That's
Every
good.
now and then.
That's good.
I just keep it neutral today.
Good. We're all about the good football. And thanks to you, we're not just good. We are globally nominated.
Globally recognized.
Globally recognized. You see that?
Yeah,
Tell
so
them.
this year, I think it's the third or fourth edition of the Sports Podcast Awards. This is a global kind of awards, recognize all the top sports podcasts around the world. And we've been nominated in the Diverse Voices Award category.
Yeah. The Chinese and the Angmo.
Yeah, that's why diverse.
And Malay today.
And Malay
See, we've got
today.
the whole
That's
set
right.
today.
That's
We've
right.
got the whole set.
That's right. That's the diverse voices, and it's great that we are nominated in that category because I mean when we started this podcast, we always wanted to say give everybody a chance to have their voice on this podcast, and being nominated for that just makes my day.
Only podcast to talk about Singapore football, regional football, and women's football, youth football, and age development football, right across the spectrum.
We'll do that for as long as possible. This will be our platform to have diverse voices all on football all over Singapore.
And key point of this is you. One of the criteria for this award is audience participation.
Right.
And because of your comments and your questions and your feedback every week, which we incorporate into the show, that's one of the key reasons why we were nominated. So thank you very much. Keep the comments coming. But most importantly of all,
you can vote for us also. We have the link at the description here. Go to the link. You vote for us. It might help us. I mean, we are up against tough competition. Actually.
Yeah. But we're up against Ian Wright and is it Jermaine
Defoe,
Defoe?
Troy Deeney.
Is Peter Crouch in there?
No.
Forget Peter Crouch. Only one lunky Angmo is enough. Right? Vote for us here, Singapore Ballet. Right. Okay, let's get on with it. What should we talk about first?
FA Cup.
FA Cup, man.
It's back. And then, obviously, whole weekend of FA Cup matches and not much surprises. I mean, but there's a big match. There was a big match. Arsenal at home against Liverpool. And, Arsenal could have murdered Liverpool in the first half, but they didn't score. And Liverpool sort of like hung on, slowly got better. And then right at the end, last 10 minutes, got the 2 goals for 2-0 win. They advanced. And, Gunners fans are just, why can't we have a great striker?
Yeah.
And, it's true, they are in the midst of quite a poor run right now. I mean, they haven't won the league. I think they lost to West Ham, they lost to Fulham, and now they lost to Liverpool again, 3 in a row. And in most of the games, I think West Ham and against Liverpool, they dominated.
Correct.
At the start. They pass beautifully around the things, but they just couldn't get that final touch in to score the goal. And and they pay the price for all the misses. So I think it's a problem that is very obvious, among everybody who's watching the game.
Well, this is what I want to ask Isa, because you're a coach. Looking at it from a coaching perspective first, right? I wrote a column for Yahoo this week, which you can read right here. It's great as a manager to have a philosophy, a process. And with Mikel Arteta, we're always hearing about the process, right? Eric Ten Hag doesn't have a process. Arteta does have a process. Fast, youthful, pressing football. But he doesn't have a striker to put away the chances. And I look at Declan Rice, I look at Saka, I look at Odegaard. They're looking frustrating because they're creating chances. Never mind the Liverpool game. You're absolutely right. West Ham, They had 20 unblocked shots, 20 against West Ham, missed them all. That's a record, right? They also had 77 touches in the opponent's box and never scored. That's another record. Havertz, God bless Havertz, had 5 chances in the first half alone against Liverpool. 5, and missed them all. If they don't sign a striker, it's over for Arsenal.
I wouldn't say that. I mean, as a coach, my point of view, if you mentioned, before this run of poor form, they were on top of the table. Nobody were complaining. Nobody were complaining they are not scoring and whatnot. But suddenly when they run on form, they need to sign a striker. So from the comments that I had, I view from Arteta that, you know, he have been doing so much work in terms to earn the dressing room trust. I think the past 2 seasons, you can see the benefit of this, and the players are playing for him. Obviously, he wants that player trust, and of course, you can see that players are trying to play for him. The Odegaard, whoever that played are trying to play for him. Obviously, if there's a striker for him, it will benefit him because on his game model, I think he's being too predictable now. If you see. One touch they could have scored, but they take extra touches, extra pass to make a clear chance before they score. So this is some kind of issue, but like you say, Arteta have his own philosophy, and he's not far from where Guardiola is. But I think Guardiola learned the lesson. That's where he brought in Haaland, and then Haaland won him the Champions League. Right?
So they need a plan B.
Yeah, he needs to. So in some of the cases that now players or teams are starting to understand the style of play they play, he needs some striker that eventually able to take the ball and create for themselves rather than created by the teammates. That's what I felt.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you agree with Isa? Arsenal need a striker and a plan B. Agree, disagree? Send all your comments to
Yahoo Southeast Asia on YouTube, Yahoo SG, Yahoo_MY on Twitter, and Yahoo SEA on TikTok.
Great. Now, before we wrap up the FA Cup, where's the romance? Where's the romance? Where was the giant killings?
Well, if you want to look really, really at the bottom, Maidstone United, non-league side.
I drove through Maidstone in England when I was back. Yes.
So they are like the 6th tier of the whole English football system. And then they beat the 3rd tier League One side. I think it's Rotherham.
Yeah, Rotherham. Yeah.
Rotherham. And so they are the only non-league side left in the 4th round. But you're right. I mean, nowadays, FA Cup, you want to say, it's still romantic. I doubt so. I mean,
actually, that's the beauty of FA Cup, the giant killing.
Yeah, but it's getting less and less. I mean, the last time 2nd division side won the FA Cup is going to prepare himself. Yes, it's West Ham, 1970.
1980.
1980, yes. 44.
Last 2nd
44
division
years
team
ago.
to win the FA Cup was West Ham,
West Ham.
1980.
Yeah. So,
yes. Beat Arsenal.
But you know, I had a look at all the teams that won in the last 10 years. It is Arsenal, Man United, Arsenal, Chelsea, Man City, Arsenal, Leicester, Liverpool, Man City. So you know it's all the top teams. Leicester, you can also argue that during that period they were among the fourth or 5th place. So they were also that good. So there's not much of a chance. I mean, if you look at the weekend action, all those lower league teams facing higher league teams, it's always the higher league teams that won. Yeah. Except West Ham.
It's not need for that. It's not need for that. But I'll say this. I agree with you. And I'd like to know what Isa thinks. Money is damaging the FA Cup, but it's also benefiting it. And I'll explain why. Okay, where is it damaging it? You don't get many giant killings anymore because the gulf is too wide now, right? If you look at the Premier League, teams that go down tend to come straight back up, go back down, come back up. Why? Because they've got the parachute payments. So those parachute payments give them more money than the rest of the championship clubs. So Leicester, for example, will come straight back up because they've got more money. So they will go up and down, up and down, up and down. Leeds is another. But the gap between them and the established English Premier League is too wide now. So it's the same with the FA Cup. That's the negative. The positive is because fewer teams can win trophies now, you're seeing good teams put out better sides.
That's true.
You see Liverpool and Arsenal, they wanted to win that. They wanted to win it. That was not reserves.
No reserves.
So with the exception of Manchester City, you look at Manchester United, Chelsea, Liverpool, they're not messing around with the FA Cup anymore because it's probably one of their only chances of winning a trophy.
Yes.
And that's the good benefit. That's the good side of it. What do you think?
Speaking of
Isa?
that, next round we have good matches coming up. Especially the top match will be Manchester City versus Spurs. I think that's a tough match for Man City. If they're playing at Spurs.
Yeah.
And for Spurs, I mean, if they can get all the things right, if they can get enough players back from injuries, I think there'll be a tough opponent for Man City.
What do you think, Isa? You still a fan of the FA Cup?
Yeah, personally, because last time the view was different. I would say that the team perspective in terms of winning the FA Cup was not as big as now. And you can see that maybe some of the teams know that the Premier League and Champions League are dominated by a few.
Correct.
So that's why they put up a strong team to at least have a chance to win a cup. So, but again, like you said, money matters.
Yep.
Eventually, and then I also saw players complaining about too many games.
Yep.
So this is where something that the coach can manage in terms of playing games, FA Cup. Is it important or is it a risk for a player to at that level to play and get injured?
Yeah.
So this is kind of pros and cons for the players and the teams.
What do you think of that? As both a player and a coach, I listened to a podcast recently with Gary Lineker and Alan Shearer berating the modern player and modern manager, saying they play too many games. They say it's absolute nonsense. When you're fit, you want to play every single game. You never want to rest. When you're winning, you want to play every minute of every game. And even if you do want to be rested, they've got double the size of the squad they used to have. Someone like Pep Guardiola could rotate every single player every week if he wanted to. Do you think their complaining is fair?
Somehow it's fair because I felt that the amount of time and the amount of rest that they have in between the games sometimes is sufficient enough to rotate the players. So this is up to the manager in terms of rotation. And but I also felt for the players because the pace of the game is much different now.
Correct.
The intensity of the game is much different. So I think they must understand that the level of exertion of the body is very huge. And sometimes it takes a toll, especially season after season. Yeah.
That's a good point.
That's a good point.
Very good point. Which is why clubs are about to go back into the January transfer window.
Yeah, good segue.
You see what I did there? You see what I did there? You see the professionalism coming through. This is not
Nominated
globally nominated for segues like that. You see? Yes, I forgot now what I was going to say. Yes, the January transfer window. What do you think? Who's going to buy what? Who's happening?
I think in January when transfer, usually there are two types of club. One is like one club which really needs one extra piece to push on forward. Then you got clubs like Arsenal. Every say need a world class striker. It won't be easy. I don't think Ivan Toney is a solution.
Yep.
But I mean, good luck to them. They need somebody who can convert their chances. So people like Arsenal, then maybe Spurs or Newcastle because they've been so decimated by injuries. And they can do better if they can get some backup. So I think Spurs are getting Timo Werner. I think it's almost done deal already. Yep. So good luck. Timo Werner didn't do well in the first time with Chelsea. But who knows, come back. Maybe he can fit into Postecoglou's plans better. Okay, that's one group of teams. Then the other group of teams is they need to dump off players very quickly.
Correct.
Because that players like a cancer to the team or something like that. It looks like Manchester United are trying to dump off Jadon Sancho. I think I don't have any issues with that. I think he has been a bit of a unwanted presence in the Red Devils for a bit too long already. Then nothing could be resolved. If nothing can be resolved between him and Erik ten Hag, then maybe they're looking at loaning him back to Dortmund. So we'll see what happens. So that is the current scenario. But January sometimes very hard to do proper deals. So it's interesting to see what happens at the end of the month.
What do you think, Isa? Who needs to come in or go out? Anyone?
I'm surprised that, we all know about Jordan Sancho, he's leaving Man U.
Yeah.
But from the time where he coming into Man U with high expectation, he's surprised that suddenly, it turned out that way. And I hope that when he come out, we can see that he able to be where the level he is, because I believe that he has the ability.
Yeah, he's a good player.
Yeah.
The thing about this January transfer window, the elephant in the room is Everton. 10-point deduction. Everybody's terrified now of financial fair play. They're really saying, actually, we might have to take it seriously this time. So on paper, it's easy to say Arsenal, Ivan Toney, or Solanke has been mentioned. but they've got to find £100 million to pay for him. Therefore, they've got to get rid of players in their squad because they had a big transfer spend pre-season. And this is across the board, by the way. So it's very easy for Manchester United to say, oh, they've got to dump Maguire, McTominay, Martial, Sancho. But other clubs have got to buy them. And if they're going to buy them, same issue again. So I think this will be the first transfer window where financial fair play will be really taken seriously because they're all crapping their pants over Everton. So that it's going to be very interesting. The one club I think will go in is Liverpool. I think Liverpool, because Klopp is a fan of the January transfer window. He's always bought players.
Smart buy.
Yeah, very, very smart buys in the transfer window. And defensively, they need someone, don't they? Robertson is, he's had some injury issues. Who else is there? Matip is out. Is it Matip who's out? Gomez has had some injury issues. Kanate has had injury issues. So I think they might get someone in defensively at Liverpool. What do you think? If they can.
I mean, if they can, that's the issue. I mean, the thing is that while Liverpool often do January transfers, they only do the transfer when it fits their system. It's the same with Man City as well. So yes, if they find somebody whom they really want, they will definitely go in for it. But they are very wary of just fighting the fire last minute, like emergency issues. They won't exactly do that kind of deals. They will do like, if this one fits our long-term plans, then I'll put in.
Yeah.
We'll see.
We'll see. Speaking of transfers, I can't move on. I'm going to pick this up, which I've just found. Look, I'm going to pretend this is a violin. You know where I'm going. This is the world's smallest violin, just for Jordan Henderson. Now, if you haven't been paying attention to Jordan Henderson's plight, he went to Saudi Arabia for anywhere from £500,000 to £700,000 a week, depending on which newspaper you believe. He was given a lot of criticism at the time for being a hypocrite. And after 5 months, he wants to come back. His family hasn't settled. He doesn't like the football. The team is not winning. And now, world's smallest violin for the man earning £500,000 a week. He wants to come back. How do you feel about this, Liverpool man?
This is going to be the worst decision of the season, man. Worst transfer decision. I mean, he was a captain at Liverpool and
won every trophy.
Command the respect of everybody in the room. Yes, he's almost at the end of his playing career. Last season he's in and out with injuries, and he's Jurgen Klopp was also very honest with him, saying that no, you're not gonna play every game. So I mean, there's a push reason for him to leave Liverpool, but then the pull reasons for him to join Al Ettifaq at Saudi Arabia is so weird.
He wanted to play regular football for the Euros.
Yes.
So going to the semi-professional Saudi Pro League is the way to do it.
Steven Gerrard, obviously, it's a push factor, but still. And then he said he wants to, improve the Saudi league there, which is 1% how you do it,
Well, it hasn't worked out too well. They're mid-table and they haven't won.
During that fateful interview which he gave midway through the last year, 2 or 3 months in the season, he said because he used to be a champion of LGBT rights in Britain, and then he wants to go to Saudi Arabia and continue to champion the rights for LGBT. That's one of the criticism why he went to Saudi Arabia. And needless to say, nothing has happened much in that country yet. And obviously, I'm not sure the playing conditions, or I heard the crowd levels were very, very low.
Very low. I've seen the footage.
7,000 was.
He's playing in front of half-empty stadiums.
Yeah, and obviously it wasn't. I'm not sure how a professional football who is used to playing at such high level, and then now suddenly a big drop. Obviously, it's not easy.
What do you think, Isa? I mean, it's easy for us to sit here as fans and commentators, but look, we get it. If it had just come out from the very beginning and said, this is a lot of money, and I can look after my children and my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren, and football is a finite career. You might get 10 or 12 years. I want to set my family up forever. I think you'd have had a lot more respect and honesty from the public. But the fact that you said, I'm trying to promote Saudi football and I'm trying to keep my place in the Euros, everyone was a bit, no. What do you think? As a footballer, you've got a right to earn a living.
I think he have to be honest with himself. I mean, at the moment, it's now backfire because he wants to come back. And I think, like rightly so, you mentioned that if he being honest about his want to take care of his family, this is the kind of money, amount of money. Yeah, people will understand. I mean, whether him or us, I think we would consider clearly whether we want to take up that offer because we are settled for the remaining rest of our days. But again, I mean, having this conversation, then he backfire. It doesn't look good on him as well. He's a Liverpool captain, and I mean, he earned the respect of everyone, and just leave like that. It's not easy for him at the moment, I believe, and obviously now it's bite on his foot back again.
The last thing I would say on it, there's a broader point that's worth mentioning. How many more chances are the golden generation of English football going to get as coaches? Wayne Rooney just got sacked again by Birmingham City. Frank Lampard, one of your favourite players, lost his job a couple of times now. Steven Gerrard is barely hanging on at what seems to be last chance saloon for him anyway.
They won us once in 12 games. So
correct.
Quite a bad run.
So in the last 20 plus years, I had a look. The only former England footballer who's been a success at elite coaching level is Gareth Southgate. That's how far back you have to go. Not a single player of the golden generation has been a success yet as a coach, but they keep getting chance after chance after chance. You do wonder after this, when
maybe they should really stop taking those chances, coaching chances, and really build up their coaching reputation, their coaching know-how first before taking on another job.
What do you think, Isa, as a coach? Too harsh?
I mean, it's clearly, you mentioned about former players having become coaches, and sometimes we get, I would say, the advantage in terms of getting the job or getting the role, I believe. But sometimes also as a coach, we always tend to think about our playing days. I think that's one of the mistakes as a former player to become a coach, because I always thought that whenever I spoke to former player coaches, and it's the time that I play like this, it's the time where we play like this. Things have changed. Things have changed a lot. So we must understand that, and you must learn to improve ourselves as well. So again, and these are the coaches that maybe they try to reflect, or they do what have been doing for them very well, and they try to apply it to the new generation of players, which sometimes that works for you, sometimes doesn't work. So how do you adapt then? So these are the changes that we must learn. That's what I feel.
Great point. And that's a nice segue to wrap up this part of the podcast by paying tribute to one of the few great players who went on to become one of the great managers.
Both a great manager.
Franz Beckenbauer, the Kaiser, who sadly passed away just a few hours before we're recording this. One of the greatest players of all time. Arguably, Beckenbauer invented a position, the quarterback position, as we know it today.
The greatest football brains of all time.
And I would go a step further. Beckenbauer arguably had a direct impact on 3 consecutive World Cups. And I'll tell you why. In 1966, famously in the final between England and West Germany, both managers said the same thing. You go and mark Bobby Charlton, and you go and mark Beckenbauer. And so what happened is, and I've seen the final many times, Beckenbauer and Charlton go like that, and they just stick to each other for the whole match. They basically cancel each other out. And back then, England had a slightly better team than Germany, with the 2 best players cancelled out, and England won. Fast forward 1970, the biggest mistake of Sir Alf Ramsey's career. They were playing at Mexico, high altitude, hot weather. England were 2-0 up against West Germany.
Quarterfinals.
Correct. So 2-0 up against West Germany, it was over. So Ramsey decides, hot weather, Bobby Charlton, getting old, I'll take him off. The moment he took him off, Beckenbauer was liberated. He dominated the entire game because Charlton was off. Germany wins 3-2. Fast forward 1974.
He won the World Cup.
Dutch football, total football. Johan Cruyff, Neeskens, they're going to win everything. Beckenbauer's brain, they take out the Dutch. He had a direct role on 3 World Cups, and then as a coach, wins it in 1990. What a player.
And it was so good. And then last time I used to also play defender, as in my younger days. and every time some teams, some defender wants to kick the ball, dribble a bit, and move upfield by himself. Everybody says, "Oh, play Beckenbauer, play like Beckenbauer."
Yeah. It was always like Beckenbauer.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on Beckenbauer? One of the best?
I have not have the luxury to watch him. I mean, the age, the gap.
What did you look at me for?
Yeah, because you're 50.
I'm not that old. 50. Why now?
And from the stories I heard, obviously he's changed football. I mean, I think
did.
back then, if you talk about this, is the man marking not even invented before. I think this one of the key points that teams have used man marking. I think from where he started it.
One of the first defenders to play out from the back, which now we take for granted. One of the absolute greats, and we pay tribute to De Kaiser. And as always, let us know your thoughts and opinions on De Kaiser. And the January transfer market. Who is your team going to buy? Send all your comments to
Yahoo Southeast Asia on YouTube, Yahoo SG, Yahoo_MY on Twitter, Yahoo SEA on TikTok.
Isa Halim, Singapore Lions legend. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah.
Stay with us because he'll be with us in part 2 when we get stuck into Singapore football and all the wonderful things that Isa is doing to unleash the roar for Singapore. See what I did there? See what I did there?
Globally nominated.
Globally nominated podcast. Don't forget to vote for the globally nominated podcast. Take care, guys. See you in part 2.